You know, my grandfather used to tell me before you marry somebody, make sure you marry somebody who's got really good genes. Meet their family, meet their background. Trump said the same thing many, many times. He's got good genes. Quite frankly, probably he's got really good genes, like Professor Nez. Quite frankly, the greatest YouTuber out there. That's why I watch him all the time, right? I mean, you can't argue with President Trump, for crying out loud. And so the rotten apple doesn't fall too far from the rotten tree. Wait till you hear what Zohran Mamdani, the new face, I think I can say this with confidence. He is the new face of the Democrat Party. You've got everybody supporting him. You've got like the top brass in Bill Clinton, Obama, et cetera, et cetera. They haven't had a W in ages. And the next story I'm going to tell you might relate to this as well. Wait till you hear Zohran Mamdani's father, the guy comparing Hitler to Abraham Lincoln, making connections that will make your skin crawl. We have to watch this. It's an insane clip. I've also got a great clip from Kevin O'Leary talking about how the American dream is going to turn into the American nightmare under this guy. I think he puts it very, very succinctly. And then last but not least, stick around because Elon Musk has just started a brand new political party. I can't wait to get your thoughts on that. But first,
further toward the Vienna model, we'll have to go beyond the market. We can establish community land trusts to gradually buy up housing on the private market and convert it to community ownership. We can give tenants a right of first refusal to buy out their landlords when buildings go up for sale. And we can fully commit to a new era of social housing, ending subsidies for luxury housing development and using our wealth to build beautiful, high-quality social housing projects that offer good homes and strong communities to everyone. We won't decommodify housing overnight, but we know what we have to do, and we have history to guide us.
We have history to guide us. Yeah, you have history to guide you. Communism, socialism, Bolshevikism has never, not once in the history of mankind, has it ever worked according to this utopian dream of everybody living under equality and living prosperous and being happy. As a matter of fact, it's led to the exact opposite of what it purports, which is famine. I mean, like abject poverty, recession, inflation, you name it, absolute dystopia, anarchy. That's what it's led to every single time in history. And so that's just a scary, eerie. It's the year of our Lord, 2025. The American people have made a resounding vote. Their voice was finally heard on November 5th, 2024. And this guy is going to be the next mayor of the largest city in America, the largest and oldest city in America. Are you kidding me? This is worth a very intense, careful listen because you get an idea of the construct here. Here is Zohran Mamdani's father talking about the Allies and the Nazis, Abraham Lincoln and Hitler, white people as being oppressors, America being the root of all evil, and BLM is the resistance. Watch this.
The Nazi political project was shared by the Allies. And that political project was to turn Germany into a pure nation rid of its minorities. When the Allies defeated the Nazis and went into Eastern Europe, they began to create pure nations, to ethnically cleanse Eastern Europe of Germans, move them back into Germany. One crime doesn't wipe out another. A Christian nation state decides to cleanse it of all religious minorities, Jews and Muslims in particular, and at the same time launches a colonization experiment, the discovery of the Americas. I argue that nationalism and colonialism are not two different things. America is the genesis of what we call settler colonialism. And the American model was exported all around the world. In America, you have two kinds of minorities. that have run the course of the history of the modern American state: the American Indian and the African American. Each has a different significance for our contemporary era. The American Indians were the people on that land when the settlers conquered it. First, they tried to eliminate as many Indians as possible. This was the first recorded genocide in modern history. Then, with the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln generalized the solution of reservations. They herded American Indians into separate territories. For the Nazis, this was the inspiration. Hitler realized two things. One, that genocide was doable. It is possible to do genocide. That's what Hitler realized. Second thing Hitler realized is that you don't have to have a common citizenship. You can differentiate between people. The Nuremberg laws were patterned after American laws. Anyway, the US put Indians in reservations. The US invented the model, what we call today the two-state solution. The American state, and alongside it, several protectorates with degrees of autonomy, but no independence. It has had its own effect, and we will realize the effect if we contrast it with what happened to the African Americans. Because the African Americans were not put in a separate state. The African Americans were part of the one-state solution. They were oppressed terribly within a single state. But the thing is that the American Indians, by being put in separate states, were perpetually fragmented, isolated. Up to today, the African Americans, horribly oppressed, but had the possibility of building alliances with other oppressed peoples. So we have a history of the same hundreds of years which have brought us to the point where we are with Black Lives Matter, which are at the forefront of progressive struggles in the US.
This whole talk about Native Americans and colonial empires coming in here and saying, get out of here, stealing the property, stealing the land and all that. This is all a bunch of hogwash. But this wasn't just a peaceful band of indigenous people who were just smoking peace pipes and living, tranquilly at all. These were warring. They were already fragmented. He talks about fragmentation. They were already fragmented. There were tons of tribes. They were killing each other in the most savage, barbaric way imaginable over territory. There wasn't a universal language. There were warring tribes all throughout the Americas. And then we have the colonials and the settlers who conquered the land and actually civilized the land. Now, were there deals made with the Native Americans and indigenous people? Were there deals made with Native Americans that the colonials and Americans reneged on? Absolutely. There were treaties that were not honored, and there were a lot of bad boogie things. Absolutely, I give you that. And slavery was terrible. But then Lincoln freed the slaves during the Civil War, signing the Emancipation Proclamation, much to the chagrin and dissent of his cabinet, his trusted cabinet. They said, no, don't do this. This is going to turn the war against us. We're going to lose. Not only that, he fought for the 13th Amendment, which was ratified before the war was over, which abolished slavery for good for all time. So he did the right thing. Jefferson had melancholy over slavery. He was a very contradictory individual. I love Jefferson. A lot of the revolutionaries are forefathers were kind of walking contradictions in that regard. They were brave, they were amazing, but the slavery issue plagued the American spirit and it plagued the American ideal for a very, very long time. Lincoln fixed all of that. But then to say that BLM, which is a known terrorist organization, which has stolen not millions, billions of dollars from the so-called poor, marginalized people that they purport to help and save, you're going to call BLM as being the forefront of progressive ideals and principles? This is what's headed to New York City, and it is an absolute disaster. And I think Kevin O'Leary says it a lot better than I can in this quick 1-minute clip. Check this out.
What he's been doing, running around the streets of New York saying, free taxis, free subway, free buses for you, free everything. And of course, if you don't understand what that means long term, you might vote for him. They certainly are proposing that. And so this is a classic case of reading Atlas Shrugged. I got my kids reading it, and they're freaking out reading that thing, because that's exactly what it's proposing. You can't do this in an environment where there's competition of other states. The money just leaves. Right. The tax base leaves. The capital leaves. The developer leaves. The risk capital leaves. And you're left with a collapsing environment. New York City is going, it's a horrible message for the American dream. This guy is turning New York into the American nightmare. The money comes in, it flies right over New York City, and it lands somewhere else. That's the problem.
It's the antithesis to America is what it is. I can't wait to get your thoughts on this. It goes against free market, free enterprise, socializing, communalizing, private property. He wants to give away everything for free. He wants to defund the police. Just recently, he was caught lying on an application, calling himself black when he's nowhere near black. And he even said to some liberal influencer long ago, saying, I would never do that. So he's a complete walking fraud. We all know that. You and I both know that. But somehow, all of the people who want handouts, all of the people who don't understand that their city is already becoming a decayed entity are still supporting this guy. And now you've got the heavy hitters in the Democrat Party because they're so desperate for a win. And speaking of desperate for a win, they just got thrown a life raft. Check this out. Elon's been railing against the big, beautiful bill for a very, very long time, calling it one of the worst bills ever, that you can't have a big bill and a beautiful bill at the same time. And he even had that, basic mental breakdown a couple of weeks ago where he called Trump, this and that, talking about the Epstein list. He just lost his mind. He apologized. But he has been railing against the big, beautiful bill, says as it raises the debt ceiling, it costs all sorts of things. And now today, July 5th, he took this poll yesterday. He just announced today he's going to be starting a new political party called the America Party. So he posted this tweet on X yesterday saying Independence Day is the perfect time to ask if you want independence from the two-party, some would say uniparty system. Should we create the America Party? 65% said yes, 34% said no. Only 1.2 million votes. That's less than, a tenth of any major city in the United States of America. It's an awful poll to base on. It's almost like the impulsive, autistic billionaire adventures pretty much continue with this guy. Then he posted this. So he posted this today saying, by a factor of 2 to 1, you want a new political party? You shall have it. When it comes to bankrupting our country with waste and graft, we live in a one-party system, not a democracy. Today, the America Party is formed to give you back your freedom. What a crock of shit. This is quite literally, Elon, I love you, brother. I can't wait to get your thoughts on this too. I have a poll on my channel, but let's take the poll right now. Do you actually think this is a good idea? Do you approve? Maybe I'm wrong. I definitely think this is the worst idea ever, but I'm happy to be wrong. Tell me in the comments why. If you say yes, this is a good idea, tell me in the comments why. As a matter of fact, for both. If you say no, tell me in the comments. Say no, and then a little dash explaining yourself. I'm going to read your comments, so let me know in the comments down below. I'll do my best. I can't read all of them because there's too many, but I'm going to do my best. The ones that are the most thoughtful, I pay really close attention to. This is an awful idea. You've got a Democrat Party that is literally on life support, and you just handed them a life raft. That's what you've done. You're splitting up What this is going to do is it's going to split up anybody who would vote for Trump, anybody who's anywhere near center to right Republican. You're going to split that party. And now there's even thoughts that Massey could run for president in 2028 under this new party, which is just bonkers to me. But you're essentially what you're going to be doing. I mean, Elon, I love you, brother, man. You did an amazing job. You created the only free speech platform in social media on planet Earth. You've innovated. You helped America. You helped Trump win. You helped America First agenda. But you don't know, you're amazing at building things. You're amazing at support, but you don't know crap about politics. Because what you're essentially doing is you're handing the Democrats a W, which is extremely dangerous. This is the worst time ever to split the party, ever. You've got the primaries coming up. You're essentially giving these guys an opportunity to take over in 2026 and 2028. And we're not talking, it's even improbable to call them Democrats. These are radical, progressive, socialist Bolsheviks. If Mamdani is any hint of what's to come, if Mamdani is any like semblance of a warning, a preview of what this party is becoming, especially given all his backup, this is the most dangerous thing you can do. I love you, Elon, but you don't know jack about politics. I think this is a terrible idea. And you're going to, Ghetto Crockett, AOC, who's thinking about making a run for president. Imagine that ticket getting a W. Imagine a ticket of AOC and Madam Ghetto Crockett, absolute garbage. Imagine these guys, even coming within a hairbreadth of winning in 2028, it just sends chills down my spine. I can't wait to get your thoughts on this. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you love America, please tap that thumbs up. All these videos are free. It doesn't cost you a thing to tap the thumbs up, but it helps us out immeasurably so we can continue. We can reach more people, comment, share. That way, this content will be forever free and we can continue to create these high quality videos for you. Thank you so much. Just do that right now. You can even do it on your remote if you're watching TV. Check out these videos coming up on the screen right here, just in case you missed them. Tap my face right here to subscribe and follow. That's also free. And as always, may God bless you and may God bless the USA and all who defend her. I'll see you soon.